All right, let's jump right into this explainer. What we're unpacking today is way less of a standard overview, and honestly, it's a lot more like a classified field manual. We are going to look at the fascinating, undeniable intersection of ancient spiritual practices and modern neurobiology, and the goal here, to rescue your nervous system from what the source material calls the sympathetic nervous system apocalypse.
Quick favor. I want you to assess your own physical state right this second. Seriously, check in with your body. Are your shoulders creeping up toward your ears? Is your jaw clenched? Is your breathing shallow, kind of confined just to your chest? I ask because, well, you might already be biologically compromised without even knowing it. Unclench that jaw, drop those shoulders, and let's figure out what's really going on here.
Section 1. Diagnosing the zombie apocalypse.
So you know the word zombie, right? Well, the original definition of this word is absolutely wild. In the Congo tradition, a zombie wasn't some Hollywood movie monster. It was a functioning person whose essential spirit or signal had been stolen and completely hijacked by someone else's agenda. They walk around, they eat, they work, but they are entirely absent. The lights are on, but the original signal is just gone.
Today, that hijacked signal looks a lot like sympathetic nervous system overdrive. Millions of us are literally walking around with our biology jammed in the on position. You see, the sympathetic nervous system is your fight-or-flight response, and right now we are pumping cortisol 24/7, acting as though a predator is constantly hunting us. Your digestion halts, your immune system drops, and your primitive fear center takes the wheel.
Ancient texts actually nailed this concept. They called this state the nekroi, the Greek word for the living dead. These were communities of spiritually unresponsive men and women just, going through the motions of existence. Think about it for a second. That is a perfectly accurate description of a modern Tuesday on a crowded, silent subway car, where everyone is just bathed in the blue glow of a screen.
Moving on to Section 2, the digital Moloch signal jamming.
The source texts hit us with this incredibly powerful metaphor, the digital Moloch. You see, these attention economy algorithms aren't just accidental glitches. They are intentionally designed architectures of attention extraction. They use a variable reward schedule, literally just like a slot machine, firing off dopamine hits to keep you scrolling, and this completely jams your original internal signal. It recalibrates your brain so much that normal, quiet life suddenly feels agonizingly boring.
All right, Section 3, Biology of the Threat Room. So, research shows your body basically has two operational rooms. First, you've got the threat room. This place is dominated by fast beta brainwaves, cortisol floods, fast breathing, and that sympathetic overdrive we talked about. Your processing narrows entirely down to immediate survival. But on the other side is the listening room. This one is characterized by slower theta waves, activation of the vagus nerve, and parasympathetic calm. This is the room where actual connection, intuition, and recovery happen.
Now, if you're stuck in that threat room, you're dealing with what the ancient desert fathers diagnosed centuries ago as logismoi. It's that non-stop, narrating thought stream in your head that judges, worries, and literally never shuts up. Today, neuroscientists call it the default mode network, and it creates so much internal static that it completely blocks out any deeper, stiller voice.
And here's the thing, overcoming this beast, it's not passive. The human engine is under active siege. The source texts make it clear that the verb for overcome here is actually linked to making war. We can't just sit back. We must actively deploy tactical countermeasures to fight this biological and spiritual oppression.
Which brings us to Section 4, the 6-key matrix. Okay, let's open up the armory. Here is your arsenal. 6 keys: faith, breath, fasting, meditation, dreams, and music. But don't get it twisted, these aren't just abstract religious rituals. They are gritty, biomechanical system overrides, and incredibly, whether you're fasting or doing breath work, they all converge on the exact same neurological destination.
When you actually map the hard science directly onto these ancient practices, the convergence is mind-blowing. Look at how shifting out of the high-alert beta waves of doom scrolling down into the alpha and theta waves of deep breathing or stillness literally changes your biology. You activate the vagus nerve, you achieve parasympathetic dominance, and you physically open the door to genuine receptivity.
Let's dig into these tools in Section 5, high-stakes system overrides.
Listen, before you do anything else, you've got to fix your breathing. In Hebrew, the word is ruach, meaning spirit, breath, and wind all at once. It's so important because a warrior locked in a threat posture, doing shallow chest breathing, simply cannot receive intelligence or orders. The receiver is pointed in the completely wrong direction.
This is where the Watchman protocol comes in, or what you might know as 4-7-8 breathing. It goes like this. You inhale for 4 seconds, you hold it for 7, and you exhale for 8. By intentionally exhaling longer than you inhale, you are deploying a literal physical brake pedal. It stimulates the vagus nerve, drops your heart rate, and forces that runaway cortisol factory to finally shut down.
Next up in the arsenal is zamar, the Hebrew word for intentional music making. When the algorithm has your nervous system vibrating at a frequency of pure outrage and fear, zamar acts as a counter-deployment. Through neurological brainwave entrainment, sustained rhythmic music actually acts as a weapon. It acoustically shatters the algorithm's signal jamming and pulls your brain down into those calming alpha and theta states.
We also have Tum, Rapha, and Haga. Tum, or fasting, triggers a literal Nobel Prize-winning biological process called autophagy, which cleans up cellular debris and clears biological static. Rapha is the tactical lowering of your internal noise, literally unclenching the jaw and dropping the shoulders. And Haga is the active meditation required to finally hear the real signal cutting through the noise.
Which brings us to our final phase, Section 6, Rescuing the Living Dead.
So what's the end game here? It's a concept called devakut. It basically represents a continuous cleaved union. This is where hemispheric synchronization happens in your brain. Your analytical left brain and your intuitive right brain start operating in coherence. You are no longer a zombie, functioning but absent. You become a fully connected, fully present operative.
I really want you to let this powerful truth from the text sink in. The signal never stopped broadcasting. You just forgot how to breathe. Seriously, the original frequency, that deeper connection, is still there, broadcasting right beneath all that digital noise. It's just waiting for you to recalibrate and tune your receiver.
So here we are. You've got the 6 keys in your hands now. The biology and the ancient wisdom line up perfectly. The only question left is, are you going to keep scrolling in the dark, trapped in the threat room, or will you finally use these tools to open the door?